Up at the top here it says your name, because that's the username that I used for this particular install. But whatever your username was that you created, when you installed Linux Mint, whatever username you used, that will show up here. And that's just trying to tell you, like, it's your files and things like that are in this location here. But you can see there's kind of like this breadcrumb trail, or whatever you want to say, view up here at the top. So you can actually click to the left here where it says home, and that'll actually bring you back to the previous section. And then if you had multiple users, you could go in here and potentially access their stuff, whatever shared folders. I'm not really sure. I don't usually use multiple users too much myself, but if you had multiple things in this home directory, besides your login stuff over here, it could appear there in this section. And you can go back even one step further, and that takes you again to the file system. So if you are over here into the file system, you can just access all that stuff by going to home folder right here. And then here again you see, so if you ever get somehow lost from this and you don't know how to get back to your documents and things like that, it's in the main file system under the home folder. So you'll be able to get it that way again. Or of course you can just go back down here at the bottom to files and click that, and that will open it. And again, to the files here, or in places, home, or you can directly access some other stuff there. Let's see here. So navigation, so we've got this here. It says go to parent folder. So that will always go to the folder previously. So from here it will always take you to the home one. So you can just go straight back up there. And then from the parent folder of home is in the file system. So that'll take you there. But they've also got back and forward buttons. This goes to the previous visited location. So the difference there, if I hit back right now, it goes to home. And then if I get back, it goes to your name. So it just went the other direction of what we just did. And then forward, I know it's a little bit confusing because it looks like it goes forward. But just for example, you can go from your name and jump straight to file system. And now, see, I wouldn't be able to go up any higher to the parent folder from file system, because file system is like the top level, but I could go back and do back to your name, or forward to file system. So it's maybe not the best example to explain it clearly, but it works very similarly to back and forward on your web browser. You go back to the previous page, forward to the next page of whatever you had visited, but this up arrow here is always going to be to the parent folder. You can customize this and take this off of here if you if you don't want it on there, because I personally don't find much use for the parent folder button here. I don't think it's very useful. I just use back and forward, or else I'll just click directly on something if there's something I want to access. But so it's customizable. You can modify that to your liking. Let's see. Over here, if you ever want to see like the path, the actual path, because this is more like a breadcrumbs thing where you can click on it and you can go back, but the actual path to it, you can click this button here. It says toggle location entry. So if you click that, you can see at the top, I'll just click that so it's a little bit easier to read. You can say see that it says /home /your name. So the backslash is basically the start in Linux. Like the file system is just the single backslash that denotes the start of the file system. So you can see that there, and then you click on home and you can see, I'm in /home now, and then click on your name and you can see, you went another layer deep, so we'll add another backslash because there's a folder there, and then your name is where you're at, which obviously yours won't say your name unless you called it that, but mine does. So we go to documents and it'll say, so now you're in home, your name, and then documents is where you're at. So if you want to see the actual path, that's how you do that, and you can go ahead and hit the clear button up here to clear it out if you want to type something in. If you wanted to manually type in your location on there, or whatever else, and then you can just hit this little toggle again and it will go back to the visible portion where you can just click on the more the breadcrumbs sort of approach. And you can also use these arrows as well if you want to see more than what's showing up on there, you can use the left and right arrows to move it to the left or to the right. Say you were way out here and you had a lot of stuff going on, you were way deep in a bunch of folders, or maybe they had really long names and they don't fit that well on the top, whatever. You can do it that way to access it more easily if you need to go way back. So there's lots of different navigation options for you. It's just a matter of what you prefer to use. Down at the bottom in the middle here, you'll see it says 8 items, so it's talking about all the folders in here. If you have items inside of these folders, it doesn't count them at the bottom of this list here. So it's only talking about specific items in whatever view you are looking at. And then it says free space, 900 and whatever gigabytes I have free on this drive. So that's helpful as well when you have a separate device, like maybe a USB flash drive or something, and you have that open in Nemo. It will tell you how much free space is in that drive at the bottom of that view. So it's just a handy way to go, oh, okay, I've got 900 gigabytes left, so I'm fine to do whatever. It's not the only way you can access that, but it's just a quick reference sort of thing. So down here at the right side of the thing, the window here, you'll see it says adjust zoom level. So you can click on that and drag it to the left to make things smaller. And you could go even further to make them smaller and smaller to the point where you can't even see or read it hardly. But you can also make them bigger as well. That starts in the middle. You can adjust the zoom level, and as you can see, the icons themselves start getting much larger. Doesn't change the font sizes or anything like that, but there are separate settings for that we'll go over in the future. But this works also for the other views. So I'll just go into videos here to show you an example. And it does remember it, I just realized, it does remember it by a per directory view. So it remembered, you'll notice, even though I pulled this one all the way to the right to where it made it really big, and you click into videos, it goes back to the normal default zoom. So you can set this for each individual folder or directory, and it will remember. But you can also change the default settings for the zoom level. That way, if this is a little too small for you or too big even, you can say, well, I prefer one zoom level higher than that for my default, and so you can set that as well for any folders that don't have a specific zoom level already set. So but I just wanted to show in here, right now we're in icon view. This is the other thing to show. So you can see that there are images, and I'll just make it a little bit smaller just to demonstrate. See, they get really small, but if you make them bigger, considerably bigger in this case, you can see they're actually thumbnails of some thumbnail images of what these recordings were. These were some of my old recordings here. So if you have videos or pictures or anything like that, it will actually show the actual pictures of them as thumbnails. If you don't want it to do that, you're like, no, I don't like that view, then you have these other options over here. By default, that's icon view, and that's what that's going to do. List view here gives you a little bit more information. So it has the file names, and you'll notice the zoom starts really small on this one, but you can change that too if you want it to be bigger. You can play around with that to your liking, and you can see here, I'll just put it more in the middle. It's got the file name, and then you have additional categories here: the file size, the type of file that it is, the date it was last modified, and these are just defaults views for that. And you can also do compact view, and that literally just lists the file names, and it'll actually do it in multiple columns as you go along. So if you filled this one all the way down, then it would actually do another column over here, and then another column over here, and so on and so forth. But you get the idea. So you can also change these as well, however you prefer to look at your files, and that may change on a folder basis too, because for example, videos you might want to see in the icon view, so you can see the thumbnail pictures and maybe your pictures too. But your documents, maybe you don't want to see those that way, and you just want them in the compact view or the list view or things like that. So that's how you can change that. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn even more, You can find my books at bookstoread.com/Jonathan. That's books, the number 2, read.com/JONATHAN.